Alright, let's look at the homework 7.4, 7.5, problem number 14. Alright, so we have a function of two variables here, and try to see if we can find the critical points and try to determine if they give you relative max or relative min or saddle point. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so let's take the partial with respect to x first. Partial with respect to x would be, right, you have 2x plus partial with respect to x would be 8y. Right, partial of this is going to be 0 since it's a constant, and the same thing here, same thing there. So those are all constant, right? So we have that, and we set that equal to 0. Right, then let's take the partial with respect to y. Right, so derivative of that is 0. With respect to y, you have 8x. Right, partial of this is going to be 34y. Right, partial of this with respect to y would be -4. Right, and we're going to set that equal to 0. Right, let's see, let's try to simplify this a little further. It looks like both of them are even numbers, so I'm going to just divide through by 2. So we have 2 plus 4y equals 0. Right, and this one, let's see, everyone seems to be a multiple 2 as well, so I'm gonna just divide through by 2. So you have 4x plus 17y minus 2 equals 0. Right, then what we can do is probably just solve this guy for x, just subtract to 4y. Right, so you have x is equal to -4y. Right, then we can just plug this guy right in here. So there's x there. So that's going to give you, right, so it's going to be -4 times 4 is -16, so -16y plus 17, which is kind of convenient. That's going to give you y. And actually I'm going to just add 2 so that the -2 is going to be on the other side, so it's going to be +2. Right? So now we found y, because here -16y plus 17y gives you y, and the right hand side is +2. Right, then we can plug this guy back in here, so this is going to give you x is equal to, right, and -4 times 2 would be -8. Right, so we got that. So those are this is the critical point. So critical point would be -8, 2. Right, now we want to find second partials. So it's going to be, we need the second partial with respect to x. So we need to take a partial of this guy with respect to x. So that's going to be just 2. Right, then we're going to take the partial of y, f with respect to y, double partial, and the derivative of that is 0. Partial of this is 34, and the partial of -4 with respect to y is 0. So that's that. Right, then we also need the mixed partial, so yx. So we take the partial of this guy with respect to y, so you're going to get 8 in this case. right? So then we look at the quantity. So D is going to be, right? So 2 times, right, and times 34 minus and 8 squared. All right, so that's going to be 68 and 64, and that's going to be equal to 4. Right? So they came up to be 4, which is positive. Right? And remember that f but double partial with respect to x is 2, which is positive, right? Which tells you that this is going to be a relative minimum, right? Because so the D positive means that it's either relative max or relative min. And the second partial with respect to x being positive indicates that we're talking about the kind of like a bowl shape facing upward. So we would have a relative minimum at the critical point, right? So let's type it in. All right, so we know that the relative max does not exist, right? So we just have to type in DNE, right? And here we put DNE, and it's not a saddle point, so this is DNE, and this is going to be DNE, right? Then relative maximum, that's relative minimum, is the one we're looking for, and we didn't compute this value yet, but we know that this critical point would be -8, comma 2, right? Then we just need to compute the corresponding value. So let's do that. All right, so we just need to evaluate this f of, right, x value is -8, y value is 2. Right? So you have x squared, so -8 squared would be 64. Right? Then you have 8 times, let's see, -8, so -64 times 2, so it's a -128. Right? And plus, right? It's a 17 times y is 2, so it's going to be square root 4. So it's 17 times 4. So 64, right? 17 to, so, oh, actually, I can't do this. So this is going to be 7 times 4 is 28. And 4 times 1 is 4, so it's a 68, right? And a minus, right, 4 times 2 would be -8 plus 4, right? So what's this? So it's 64 minus 128 is -64, and you're adding 68 would be +4, and then you have a subtracting 8, -4, add a 4, it's actually 0. Right, so let's type that in. So relative mean value would be 0. Right, so let's submit for testing. All right, it came back and looks like we got all of these correctly. All right, that's it. I hope that this was clear.